Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live broadcast. So, my name is Angeline Constantinou. I am the founder, coach, and podcaster of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. We already have someone jumping on right now. So, tonight's live broadcast, I am going to be interviewing a lady with whom I connected with, and I'm really super excited to introduce her. So, my podcast, which is Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, please like and subscribe to my podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, and all the live streams. And we are live right now, by the way, on my YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Angeline Mitchell. And I am really, like I said, I am really super excited about tonight's live podcast episode. So right now, I want to introduce, her name is Deena Kordt. And Deena Kordt grew up with three younger brothers on a farm and ranch in Canada. With only 2 channels on TV, no such thing as the interweb, and all her friends on the other end of long distance phone numbers, she spent most of her time riding horseback in the miles and miles of her backyard, experimenting in the kitchen or with her nose buried in a book. Despite significant losses and potentially debilitating challenges, Deena recognizes and practices using the power of mindset and manifesting to heal, grow, and create abundance in her life. From her experience of 30 plus years of narcissistic domestic abuse, she is determined to support others in knowing they are not alone, helping others in their journey to find safety, freedom, and the infinite bounty available to them is her mission. Deena's writing and blogging has led to authoring and publishing in her books, content, coaching, and speaking. Deena encourages women, empowering them to never give up. She shares ways to reconnect with themselves, claim their worth, and make some shit happen in their lives, which is a great way of putting it. So, without further ado, hi, Deena.
Hello, Angeline.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I am so happy to be here. I really appreciate the invitation. This is going to be so fun.
Oh, I can't wait. And guess what? We're both wearing pink. We didn't even talk about what we were wearing today.
You got the memo.
I got the memo. So we're setting a trend here. Pink.
I love that.
Pink represents empowerment. And, I love your story. And, I love what you are doing, for women. So, okay. So for those of you who are tuning in tonight, let us know where you are tuning in from so we can give you a shout out. So we're live in my private Facebook group. We are live on my business page, which is Let's Break the Silence, and also my YouTube channel, which is Angeline Mitchell. So, okay, so Deena, what is the time where you are right now?
5:40 in the evening.
5:40 in the evening. Awesome.
I'm in Alberta, Canada.
How is the weather there?
Today it was quite mild, but we've had a lot of very cold winter days already.
Yeah, us too in upstate New York and Saratoga Springs. So, oh, here's Melissa. Hi, Melissa. How are you? Melissa is from upstate New York as well. So,
lovely.
Welcome, Melissa. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the hi.
Yes, it's great to see you here. Oh, and Grace is my staunch supporter here on my YouTube channel. Another timely topic. Great.
Perfect.
That's right. That's right, Grace, as we set our intentions for 2023. Absolutely. So yes, and I'm glad that this is a timely topic. With Christmas coming, with the holidays coming, this is a timely topic. So please share. I know this may not be easy for you, but I want to have a conversation about your story, about what happened, what happened in your life. Who was Deena?
Deena was a very optimistic, happy little girl and very trusting, naive, raised on like a farm and ranch out in the country, very, very small town school. Um, didn't have a lot of activities, like social activities, most of my life. And also, and this is quite relevant, and a lot of your audience may relate to this, a very strict religious upbringing as well. And I feel that that did contribute to some of what I allowed and experienced later as an adult, and especially in an abusive relationship. Um, I went through school to be a nurse. That was very much where my heart was. And then was married, raised a family, 2 children, and was fortunate to have the opportunity to stay at home. Oh, she's unable to hear us.
Oh, wow, really? Oh, gee, Melissa, you know what? I would check your Wi-Fi maybe. Because I can hear Deena, and I'm going to ask Grace. Grace, can you hear us? Oh, now you can hear us both. Okay, good.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, good. Awesome.
So,
Okay.
so yes, I found myself in a situation not realizing what I was in, and I really like to parallel this with the metaphor many of us have heard of the frog in the water, and I'm sure that that is, that boiling pot, and how you don't realize what's happening until your instincts say this doesn't feel right. And I was so strongly raised, and it was so ingrained that as a good Christian, you don't leave a marriage. You deal with it. And
True.
And all so the narcissistic practice, the way that you're treated, to question what you think, your reality is questioned and challenged, and there were constant put downs. I mean, an insult was to call me by my maiden name, because my family was something that received, he would insult them or insult the small town. And I never knew what could trigger. I learned over time, but I'm such an eternal optimist that I would just think, oh, I'm sure, it'll be fine. And
Right.
and then I'd walk right into some type of a landmine, is how it felt like. And I became very hyper vigilant. I was always trying to keep the peace. And I had a bit of a conversation with my children when they were adults. Once I realized, looking back, how much my hypervigilance probably put a damper on the excitement or the fun or the environment in the home, because I was trying to protect us from triggering him. And so, it'd be, we couldn't really get too excited about stuff, or the wrong things, or or be too loud, or be too whatever it might be. And so that was something I just kind of thought everybody lived with. And it was many, many years before I finally talked to a friend who was confiding in me. Oh, you had someone tell you were a narcissist?
Yeah.
Um,
You are not one.
no.
Absolutely not.
And I found that we're so afraid to share, because we think something's wrong with us. We've been led to believe that we're not good enough, we're not enough, we're put down. And I've heard of many very successful, intelligent, educated people who appear confident, and yet they've been in those type of situations, and that's all been eroded because of how they're being treated by a narcissist. And that's so unfortunate. And we don't talk about it because we're embarrassed, ashamed that we're made to feel this way. And so once a friend was brave enough to confide in me, that is what broke that silence. Like, that is the most perfect way of describing this, that where I felt safe then to relate and understand what it is that we were experiencing, and how unhealthy that was and unsafe that was.
Right, exactly. Exactly. See, Melissa says you are good enough.
Thank you, you as well. And what I want so badly is to help reach people who find themselves in those situations, even very early in a situation, if they're seeing some red flags and then just kind of downplaying it or saying, well, maybe they didn't mean that. And uh, there's all the tactics. There's the love bombing, and
Mm,
all those things that really make people doubt their instincts. And
right,
I want
exactly.
to reach people who are in those situations. If you're sensing red flags, and this, if there's one thing even that someone takes away from this podcast that I read one time, this is a test, a narcissist test. It's a one-word narcissist test, and it's the word no.
Mm,
And judging by the reaction that someone has when you use that word for anything, even if big or small, it's challenging their attempts to control you. And if you find that that's a very uncomfortable reaction that you get when you use that word, that can be a strong sign that you're dealing with a narcissist.
exactly. Absolutely. And look what Melissa said. I did ignore the red flags. Now I don't play it no more. My well being is more important. Right, exactly. Our sense of self worth and well being. And I realized that myself. Okay. And now I know what the red flags are. I can sense it immediately.
Hmm. And I
Yeah.
think that's the danger too of being
Mm,
in that environment as a people pleaser, which most women are. We want to keep the peace. We want to make everybody happy. We want to take care of things. We're not used to failing at being able to create very nurturing and happy environments and homes. And when it's not going that way, we try harder and harder, and we give more and more, and we feel less and less, and that just creates a vicious cycle.
I agree. No kidding. I totally agree with you, Dina. And that happened to me as well. That same thing. Same thing. Especially for women who were brought up like in a strict religion. Like I was brought up in the Greek
Mhm.
Orthodox religion, and we were said, "Oh no, no, no." The woman is basically. I'm not in all cases, but in some cases, they're the doormat, and you have to do whatever the husband says. I mean, I'm going to be ruffling some feathers now when I say this, but it's true. It's true. And I had the courage to stand up to my ex,
Yeah.
and I recognized the fact that he was verbally abusive, physically abusive to me. He tried to tear me down. I mean, he did all, I mean, forget it, he denied me access to monies, denied me access to a lot of things, not having friends. We could only have mutual friends. And that was an issue for me, a huge problem. Plus, he was, abusive and condescending and
Yes.
demeaning. And,
Yeah.
he made me, the villain. But I took massive action, and I was able to overcome that, with a lot of mindset. So let's talk about mindset, because we did talk about that briefly.
Hmm.
So I know that you do a lot of writing, and you do a lot of blogging, and let's talk about mindset.
Well, I love what you say about ruffling feathers, because there's got to be some feathers ruffled or nothing's going to change. And
Mm,
sometimes there's ways that people don't even expect. So I'll give you an example of a friend of mine who was really struggling to leave a relationship that was quite abusive, physically and mentally, and had been for years. And I fortunately ran across an article that she says by me using the advice in that article, it made the difference in her life. So every time she would tell me of an incident where he'd been abusive or it had been bad, I would agree with her, and then she would defend him. I'm just summarizing. And this article said do the opposite. So then I tried it. So then for a while when she would say, he did this, and I said, but do you think he really meant it that way? He, maybe it wasn't that bad. And then she went, no, really, it was whatever. And then something clicked in her brain. She went, what do you do? What you're responding differently to this. And I said, yeah. And it's because you don't feel you need to protect and, protect his identity or his character to me, because when I would agree, it was me running him down basically. And then you felt the need to maybe stick up for him and not, like downplay.
Right.
So I found that tool really, really helpful. And I found myself even using it on myself. So
oh my gosh.
Mindset, so ruffling feathers, sometimes you have to do it in a subtle way like that and just try a different approach. Now, honest to God, I wanted to choke on some of those words because I knew the way he was treating her. And for me to stick up for him in order to try and help her see how it sounded to hear her sticking up for him, which is basically what I was mirroring what she'd been doing.
Right.
That was, it wasn't easy to say those things, but the mindset is, yes, very, very important. And it really starts with accepting your worth. Now, yeah, we hear that thrown around all the time. Accept your worth and
know your worth. And
know your worth. You're not alone. You're enough. But we don't feel that way. We can try to tell ourselves that, but we don't feel that way. And so some of the mindset work that I do with people, and these are some of my latest books.
Good. Yes.
I love them. And then a companion journal. And these are available on Amazon.
Good.
I really try and get people to think back, because this is for not just people that have been in abuse. I'm compiling stories. We'll get into that. This is for anybody that wants to reconnect with themselves and try and figure out what it is they want to do with their lives. Because I find that's one of the biggest questions that we're all facing is, and I'll hear people in their 20s and 30s already struggling with, what is my purpose? Why am I here? They've kind of lost touch with who they wanted to be or the dreams that they've had, they've given up. Well, that can't ever happen. So in these books, I share some exercises and a lot of stories and ways that people can relate to, some of my thoughts and reflections as well, and encouragement and support to reconnect with starting, say, around 6 years old or so. Who was that little girl? Was she really curious, and was she spunky, and she just speak her mind and up for adventure and that type of thing? And she wasn't afraid to say, draw a picture, and realize it's not going to maybe be as good as she's judging it towards someone else's work or whatever it might be. And I did an exercise in vulnerability just this past summer. I've always had, hi from Ohio. I've always had artists around me, and I was terrified to put paint to paper. It sounds so silly, but I just was worried that I wouldn't see what I hoped to see. And you're not going to do that without some practice. And I knew that, but I did it. I signed up for a couple different watercolor classes and just thoroughly loved it.
That's awesome. See, that's what I did. I started to take classes. I started to take yoga classes and dance classes. And that's, I did that. I did that because, first of all, I needed an outlet, which is important, for women especially, to find that outlet, do something that lights you up. And I remember the first year I moved here to Saratoga Springs, I was everywhere. But, that was just, I was on a self-discovery. Oh, Melissa, I wanted to talk about this. So she writes, I still have one that follows me yet didn't block because he would just create
Mm.
another account. Yet I'd rather know who is watching, and I am not afraid. I also had people tell me the reason why they would not work with me because of him. A narcissist never will stop. I heard on YouTube.
I think
Okay.
it depends on the person. I was fortunate enough that our children were adults and I had no need to have any contact. And I know from all through the years, Van Gogh like, very nice, your
Wow.
first art class, very nice.
Very
Um,
nice, Dawn.
I know he was always someone that would be on incognito on the computer and, creeping and uh, looking up all kinds of, trying to dig and find dirt on people or whatever it is. I don't even know what he was doing on there, but I'm sure that I'm quite visible, and I'm not going to worry about my safety with him. And I just
Good.
I'm fortunate that way because you do hear a lot of horror stories, and unfortunately, that's what even will keep some women in those situations is the fear of the repercussions of leaving.
Mm. I was in a long
So
distance relationship. We met online. Melissa, I do recall that. Yes, and we spoke about that. I remember that.
now something I'm doing that I alluded to earlier is I am compiling stories of women who are ready to share their voice so
Good.
that others can know they aren't alone, know that there's hope, see the struggles. Because my story, Angeline's story, everyone's story is a little different and could resonate with someone differently than the next story. And I want to pull those stories together. They need a voice. And my other, I'll be honest, my other big motive for doing that is to to be a big fu to the narcissist. Like, we're on to you,
That's
and we're
right.
gonna we're gonna pull as many people out of your claws as we possibly can by bringing awareness to your dirty deeds and the way that you treat people. And if like that's my mission, is try and make some good of this. And that's obviously what you're doing too, Angeline, is breaking that silence and getting those stories out there.
Exactly. That's important because it's important, especially now in these times, to break the silence because we all have a voice. We
Mhm.
all have a voice. And that's why, my podcast, women like yourself share real life stories of you know what their experiences were and how they are thriving now after narcissistic and domestic abuse.
Well, and honestly, it's so empowering, and I'm an empowerment coach, and this is one of my biggest things is how do you accept that worth, and how do you accept that you're enough? And one of the biggest tools is using that voice that we've been so afraid to use because we were criticized, we were um, really really put down and told that either we were crazy or what we thought was right wasn't the truth or reality. And
Right.
we're so beaten down about, like, mentally and physically in some cases, but you've just really lost that strength and that power that your voice has out of fear. And I had created such a shield of invisibility to
Mm.
try and protect myself. And, even to share, because he'd ridiculed myself, my family so much,
Mm.
that it was very unfortunate as my children were growing that I didn't feel comfortable to share stories of when I had been a child, because that just opened me for, it was vulnerable, and you did not want to show any vulnerability because that would just open you up for attack. So
Second.
as something as little as that, as sharing your experiences and your stories.
Okay. No, go ahead. Keep talking. I had to shut
Yeah,
off the light.
no, that's okay.
Sorry.
I just think it's so important. And I really found that as I've even been journaling, that's a way of using your voice. And
Mm,
we hear about journaling all the time, but it's so therapeutic that if the women can even find a way, and there's ways to, if you can hide notes if you don't want that to be discovered by your abuser or anyone else. You can hide them, password protect them, whatever you need to do. Um, and start writing this out, because once you start seeing it, you really start to realize the insanity that you were living in or that you put
mm.
up with. It becomes quite glaringly clear. And if you have a trusted friend that you can share with, and if they shed any doubt, try another friend, talk to a therapist,
Oh, I agree. I
get
agree.
yeah.
And
So
you just struck a chord with me because I know with myself, um, journaling, and I teach this to the ladies in my private group. It's important to journal. It's important to journal your thoughts and your feelings.
yeah,
Um, when I went through my abuse, I journaled every single day without fail. And then that helped me recognize that I was in a verbally abusive, relationship. But, the
mhm.
ladies, I'm encouraging them to focus on gratitude journaling, focus on meditation, especially with the holidays coming up. Why is it so hard for some ladies to actually write it down?
I think we don't want to see how bad it is, and I think we
Mm,
judge ourselves for allowing that to be going on and to happen. That's my theory. I think even if you start writing down the incidents,
mm,
and a friend of mine told me that that is what changed for her, when because it'll happen, and then maybe there'll be a few days not, it happens again, and you've kind of in your mind you've rationalized away why it happened and what you did to cause it and how much you were to blame. But even if you just list the incidents of things, and it can be something small, just a little dig that
mm,
is an insult, or kind of a low blow, or whatever it is. Anytime you feel that reaction of fear or unsafe, that you're not safe, or you feel insulted or put down, no matter how small, just start writing those down. Write them down, write them down, and then go back once in a while and look, and you'll be shocked. And that's what she said. She was just shocked to see really how often and how bad it was.
oh, sure, 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 absolutely. That's what I realized. And I also realized that I had a strong court case against my ex. So my journals that I kept for, I think it was about a couple of years, that was evidence. You see that?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
break free,
yes. And
So,
just to have some feeling like you have some power. Um, and in my case, I remember hitting my 50th birthday and thinking, you know what? I'm going to either stay or go. I need to make a decision.
right.
And and this is all part of that manifesting mindset, because this is what my books and a lot of my coaching is about, is mindset and manifesting. And
Mhm.
within a couple months of that, something was shared with me that put the power in my hands of some things he'd been doing to alienate me from my friends. And
See?
then when I confronted him, um, you know, it was very obvious that the power shift had happened. And I felt that. And I think, even like you say, when you have a journal that you've kept of, or even a list of the incidents, and if you realize the power in that,
Mm.
that is evidence, whether it goes to court or not, but it's still, it shows to you that this person is not treating you right and you deserve better. And here's all the evidence of all the incidents.
Right, exactly. Exactly. There we go. There you go. There you go. I want to talk about your book.
Yes.
Yeah. Manifestation is so important. The power of manifestation to heal, grow, and create abundance in their
Yes.
lives. Let's talk about that.
So I think as far as what we've talked about, where people feel so, or like women especially, these are written for women. They
Mm,
feel so beaten down by
mm.
life, whether they've been in an abusive relationship or not. You know, society says, be yourself, but not like this.
Right. Oh, gee.
And so we're trying so hard to do what poly influencers doing and have, you know, the right house and clothes and cars and job and identity and parent the right way or whatever it is, represent ourselves a certain way, be certain type of successful. And we judge ourselves against this Barbie doll or this totally unrealistic, because we're pulling that from all the inputs
Mm.
and creating this perfect person that we need to be, and then we judge ourselves. So we can sometimes be our own worst enemy, and yet the person you're going to spend your absolutely every minute of your entire life with is yourself. So why not be your own best friend? And so
Right, exactly.
and then
I love that.
once you've reconnected with, say, that child or those dreams, and thought, you know what, I'm going to act a little more playful, or I'm going to take the art class, right, or just
Mm.
allow myself to approach life in a more childlike way, maybe, then our dreams are bigger and they're braver, and we will bring that to us. We will
Right.
actually bring those opportunities and those connections that will create that reality, and start bringing that dream. And it's not always the timing or the package that we expect, which
Mm.
is amazing. And you know, you ask a kid what they want for Christmas, and they might give you a rough idea, and they're just thrilled with, you know, whatever.
Right. This
Whatever.
is so timely. Oh my goodness. This is just so timely.
So
Um,
sometimes we'll, like, if it's women that are trying to meet someone and they say, I keep meeting these narcissists, or I keep meeting
mm,
um, losers, or whatever it is. Um, if you are only going to accept them in a certain package, in a certain timely way, then that what you expect is perfect, the universe probably has something way better planned. And that's where, if we are open to more, like in that childlike wonder, well, I wonder, like, I want a different job, I wonder what it's going to be, and I wonder who I'll be
yeah.
working with, and I wonder, and then take some action. So here, where we're living now is just, I love where we are, but that happened by manifesting. And I took some
Oh,
actual, and it doesn't have to be huge action, just, you know, I put out in some Facebook groups looking for this type of a place. I did some asking around. We physically went and looked at some places, um, started making some contacts. There was a group that said, hey, we're all kind of, you know, if anybody has anything they're working on manifesting, let's all put our minds, like, just send the list and we'll all just kind of think about it. And literally within a couple of weeks, we just happened to find this place. And oh, there's just so many examples. I've heard of, yeah, just so many examples of many things, whether it's living, travels. Oh, well, just this fall, I had strongly been thinking, I just wish I could finally visit Mexico. I'd never been. And I had lunch with a friend, and she said, you know what? She was in Canada, but they've just bought a house in Mexico in the last year. And she said, come and visit, because I'm going to be there all by myself. And for most of October, please, it would just be great if you could come visit. I don't know. It's kind of short notice. I went, I'm doing it. Because when the universe puts those things in your path, don't
mm.
overthink it and don't doubt it. And
Ah,
I just booked and went, and that was my first
see?
week ever. I had someone there to show me around. Like, it was just the most fantastic, relaxing trip. So we overthink, we manifest, we'll take some action, and then we're like, boy, I don't know. Maybe that isn't, maybe that isn't meant for me. But welcome it when it crosses your path. It might not be the way you expected it to appear.
And actually, I agree with you on that. You know, like I'm manifesting a trip to Greece next year in the summer, and I know it's going to happen. And I also manifested working with a multiple seven figure online coach, health coach.
Yeah.
And he's also a podcaster. And I'm flying to Texas next month at the end of January.
Oh, that's
And
exciting.
then I'm also, he gave me a free ticket. So I'm also flying. I forgot where I'm flying to in March. But, anyways, I'm going to a convention in March and I'm super excited. Already manifested that and it's going to be my reality because, actually, to be quite honest with you,
Yep.
I've struggled with finding my true purpose. And when we reconnected 2 weeks ago on Black Friday, I was like, oh my God. So it was just like amazing, because part of the healing with a narcissistic abuse survivor is to gain control of their health and well being so
Yes.
they can feel good about themselves again.
Yes. We sacrifice a lot when we're
Mm,
in those relationships. On manifesting, I would say probably one of the most important things is, once you have some ideas of what you want to bring to your life, is feel the feels. Just feel the feelings as if it's real. And your subconscious thinks then, oh, it's real. Well, let's create an environment where it is real, and
that's
and
right. That's right. And I'm
talk
flying
about it,
there no
share it
matter
with
what.
people.
I am flying
Sorry?
there no matter what. And that's it. Done. I'm not going to overthink it. And because that's what, happened to me. I used to travel all the time. So now next year I'm going to travel, no, not overthink it, and that's it. So I'm really happy about that. So I'm glad we talked about manifestation. And also, when you put good out into the universe, put good out to the universe, it's going to attract the right people
Yeah.
in your life. And I think some women miss that point. They're not attracting the right people because they're putting negativity out there,
Mm-hmm.
or they're not, you know what I mean, putting themselves in a good light
Yeah,
out
well,
in
you get
public.
what you expect, right? So
Ah,
if you think, oh, I always attract losers, well,
see?
and so there's kind of a plan A and a plan B. So we always think, okay, the optimal outcome is plan A, but probably only plan B is going to happen. I'm pretty sure just plan B is going to happen. Guess what the universe is going to send? Plan B, because that's what you believe is going to happen. So I always
Right.
attract losers is going to, I mean, that's what you're going to manifest. And another thing that's really super powerful, people are nervous to share what they're trying to manifest. Partly, if they use the word manifest, people think it's woo woo. And they don't want to seem silly. Like, they don't want their dreams to be criticized or
Mm,
to appear kind of silly. But I've heard where the vision board, whatever it is you want to do, write it on somewhere, stick it on the fridge, have it as a center in your, whether it's your family or you're at your office or with your friends. It's a conversation piece, and then you say, yeah, I'm going to go to Greece next summer, and this is the places I'm going to visit, and I drew myself a ticket. Here's my airline ticket, and whatever
right.
it is, just have it there. And the more you talk about it, the more your subconscious and the universe hears that and says, well,
Right.
we better make that happen. And it's very powerful to share. And on the energy that you put out, I mean, I've
Mm,
even heard, and I practice this sometimes in traffic, say, a time where you might feel like, oh, instead, send love out to the other drivers. Just send that energy. Just think,
wow.
okay, I hope all of these people are having a fantastic day. They're probably stressed and tired. And just
Mhm.
send some of that positive energy out into the world, because we can't see it, but we're told that energy has no restrictions or boundaries with time and space.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
so the ripple effect we'll never know, but the karma is beautiful.
Exactly. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I really enjoyed this broadcast tonight. We brought a lot of things to light, and what I would like to do in closing is, what's a special message that you would like to share with the viewers and the people who are going to be watching the replay and listening to the podcast on Monday morning?
I was recently asked if I had 10 seconds to give a speech to the entire world, what would I say?
Right.
And I basically said, if you're afraid, don't be afraid. Instead, consider, what if it all works out?
Mm,
So don't be afraid. Instead, consider, what if it all works out?
there you go. There you go. I love it. And Grace
Thank you,
says,
Grace.
oh, thank you, Grace. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope that there's some tools in there that
Yes, definitely.
resonate.
Oh, and where can people reach you? We're going to do that right now.
Yes. I am on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. And I have a website where I blog and I share lots of inspiring ideas and concepts and support. You can also book a consult with me, and I'm taking coaching clients. And I encourage your listeners to contact me if they would like to explore the idea of sharing their story. They
Good.
don't have to be professional writers. We want it in your voice, as if you're sitting having a conversation with a friend and sharing what your experiences have been, so that others can know that they aren't alone.
Exactly. And you are not alone.
No.
And you are not alone. So, folks, tonight, please reach out to Deena. You can reach out to her on Instagram and also on her website. So, your website has all your social media links, correct?
Yes, it certainly does. Yes.
Good. And I am inspired tonight.
Likewise.
Because I'm going to start blogging again. I used to do a lot of blogging
Good.
and writing. So,
Good.
I write my own content, but I'm going to start blogging and writing again. So that's something
fantastic.
I'm doing over the break.
I so appreciate.
Go ahead.
I so appreciate this opportunity to talk with you, Angeline, and to be able to share our stories and our encouragement for women, and to break that silence.
Exactly.
It's so important. It's so needed.
It is needed. Absolutely. And as we're going into 2023, it's important for us, like Grace said, to share our intentions and our goals, but with intention. And that's what that's what I am focusing on right now. So, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning into tonight's broadcast. You can watch this live right now. You can watch the replay actually on my YouTube channel, which is Angeline Mitchell. And please, please subscribe to my podcast, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. We are making an impact in the world. We are in 7 countries and we are growing. Our listenership is growing. So please like and subscribe to my podcast. A rating would be really appreciated on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, and all the live streams, because we are here to break the silence on domestic abuse and women, and my passion is for women to share their real life stories, because we do have a voice. So let our voices be heard.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Deena. Please hang out with me after the broadcast is over. So everyone, I wish you a great night. If you're watching the replay, just hashtag replay for me. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And have a great night, everyone. And you will see this live podcast Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.